another episode of the recap. The recap is just a 5 to 10 minute version of what we've been talking about on Wednesday, and I'm really excited. We started this 2 week series, just a little short series here on this idea of Imago Dei. We did this last week, and Imago Dei is a old weird word. It's Latin, and all it means is image of God. And so we've been talking about this last week, like what exactly is the image of God? What does it mean to be the image of God? And so we're going to dive into that today. But I wanted to talk about first the idea that it's crazy. We did this experiment with our high school students where we had everybody take out their phone and just count just see how many pictures were on their phone. And we had answers ranging from the hundreds to the thousands. Like, I think 15,000 was the most that somebody had. It was wild to just see the range of the amount of pictures that people had on their phone. But we all carry phones and we all have pictures on them, whether it's you're in the hundred range or you're in the thousands range. We all have them. And I sort of asked this question of like, why? Why are pictures so important to people? Why do we take them all the time? Why do we want them? Pictures, videos, like why are we taking these things? And the simple answer is this: we want to capture a moment, right? We take pictures because we want to remember the people, the emotion, the circumstances, the experience. We want to capture all of that, and so that we can remember it, right? And when we see these pictures, we're reminded of all these things that we feel and all this stuff. And so images and pictures are really important to us. And honestly, they always have been. Even though phones haven't been around forever, and even cameras that can actually print pictures haven't been around forever, humans have always found a way to capture moments, right? Whether it's you want to go all the way back to cave drawings, or what we're going to look at today, people used to make carvings and paintings of things that were really, really important to them, especially their gods, right? You have nations, even still today, that make carven images of their gods. And one of the names for this is idols, right? People make idols. And the reason they make idols is because of the same reason we take pictures. Like, we want to be reminded of what this God is, what they can do for us. There's an emotional connection there. There's some emotions that go on when you see this idol statue and you're reminded of certain things, what you should be doing, all that kind of stuff, what this God is responsible for. And so idols do the same thing that images do. They conjure up something within us when we see them. There's an interesting twist in that the God of the Bible is not too fond of idols. He definitely doesn't like idols that are made of other gods, and he doesn't want idols to be made of him. As a matter of fact, he made it part of the Ten Commandments to not make any idols, not to worship any idols, and not to make any graven images of himself, which is an interesting concept and kind of begs the question of like, well, why? Why is that? It's in like the top three, right? Why is that so important that it would be in the Ten Commandments? I mean, you could kind of see the idea of like worshiping another God. Yeah, obviously he wouldn't want that. But man, what's up with the no images and no statues of himself? Like, why would he not want that? And the answer we find is in Genesis 1:26, where God says, "Let us make man in our image, in our likeness." And so the reason God doesn't want any idols or images made of him is because he already made them. And he called them good. And it's humanity. And that's an incredible thought. It was a mind grenade for me when I first kind of realized it. Man, God doesn't want any images or idols because he's already made a representation of himself, and it's humanity. So the question is, what does that mean that we are God's image? We are God's idol statues in creation? And what should we do with that, right? So, in a literal sense, it means that we are the physical representation of Him in creation. And in sort of a thought sense, it means that we should do all of the things that images do, right? I mean, when we see humanity or around each other, we should remind each other that there is a creator, um, of who he is and how good he is. We should be elicit some of those same emotions that we should feel with this creator of love and peace and truth and security and all these things that you would hope to feel with God. We should be doing all of that for each other, right? Just like an image or an idol statue would do. But the other is this: God actually sets us up with a higher purpose than just being an image, right? He makes us living, and He does that for a reason. He actually sets us up to rule over creation. And there's a beautiful poem written in Psalm 8 that reflects on this truth, on this idea. And I just wanted to read a portion of it to you guys today, and then just kind of reflect on it with you. So I'm going to read Psalm 8 here, and starting in verse 1, it says, Lord, our Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earth. You have set your glory in the heavens. Through the praise of children and infants, you have established a stronghold against your enemies to silence the foe and the avenger. When I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars which you have set in place, what is mankind that you are mindful of them? Human beings that you care for them. You have made them a little lower than the angels and crowned them with glory and honor. You made them rulers over the works of your hands, and you put everything under their feet. So I'm going to stop there in verse 6. Just goes on to continue all the things that we are supposed to be in charge of. Um, but man, that's a crazy little thought there. The author sets up, man, God, you're so incredible. God, when I think about all the things you've done, like I'm just awestruck. And then, God, I think about how much you care for humanity, and it baffles me. It baffles me that you would create us in a way that puts us among heavenly beings like angels, that you have crowned us like a king or a queen, rulers. You have crowned us with glory and honor. The author's amazed at how much God has put under humanity's control simply because he enjoys us. And so am I. And we all should be. And there's this beautiful sort of scene that God sets where he wants to be in partnership with humanity to have them continue God's good work of creating and bringing order to chaos and cultivating and advancing what he's already made on this earth. And it's just this amazing picture of what creation and humanity is supposed to be. And as I've been saying this, you probably are thinking in your head, like, man, that is not the world that I see around me. And I think we're supposed to experience this tension between God's design and what we see around us every day. And we're going to speak to that tension next week. And I want you to sort of sit with it. I want that to just sort of rest with you, the idea that of what's supposed to be and where we are now. And I hope you wrestle with that in the coming week. But today I just want to rest in the fact that in the idea that we are the image of God. Now, this idea should do a few things for us. This thought, this truth. This truth should do a few things for us. One, it should fundamentally change the way that we see ourselves and other people. The fact that we are the images of God, that humanity is the image of God, means that every single person has value. And it doesn't depend on your function or your ability to do something that helps me or serves me. You have value simply because you are made by God and you are made in his image. And the other part of that is we really need to take stock and think about the way we talk about other people or ourselves. Because every time we degrade someone or call them stupid or talk about them in a way that objectifies them and makes them somewhat less than human, we're not just doing that to someone, we're doing that to the very holy, incredible image of our Creator God. Like, that should impact the way we think about other people. And the other thing I was hoping this truth would do for you is help you to stop for a moment this week and just see the good that God has created. I mean, stop and watch a sunset this week. Go out at night and see the moon and stars. Take a trip to the beach or the woods or some sort of nature trail and just, man, just take in what God has created and how truly beautiful and wonderful it is. And then also see the good in humanity this week. Find somebody being an image of God. When was the last time you laughed with a friend so much that your stomach hurt, or you felt the love of somebody as they gave you a big old hug, or somebody made you feel safe and secure, or you started a new friendship, or you connected with somebody, or you and another person were creatively working on a project together and solving some issue, and all of those are examples of literally being the image of God, bringing order to chaos and creating and problem solving. So try and find that this week. And then, last but not least, this truth should let you know that your work matters. God created us to advance, to create, to subdue. He wanted us to build families and friendships. Like, all of that was in that divine purpose. And so your work matters. When you go to school and learn something, you're literally living into the image of God, what it means to be human. Uh, when you contribute to a harmonious home, you are contributing to that image of God. When you're loving somebody, when you're completing random acts of kindness, all of those things are contributing to the image of God. When you're doing chores around the house or mowing the lawn, like, your work matters. None of it's just for nothing. And so that should really be an awesome truth for you to just rest in this week. And that's what I hope for you guys. Um, Join us next week as we sort of speak to the tension of what life's supposed to be and what we experience and what does God do about that and what should we do about that. I will see you guys next week. Thanks.